All right. Welcome to our public hearing for the Community Preservation Committee. And we have a call to order. Anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So just to start off with a little bit of background about the Community Preservation Act. The Community Preservation Act is a smart growth tool that helps communities preserve open space and historic sites, create affordable housing, and develop outdoor recreational facilities. Property taxes traditionally fund the day-to-day operating needs of safety, health, schools, roads, maintenance, and more. But until CPA was enacted, there was no steady funding source for preserving and improving a community character and quality of life. The Community Preservation Act gives the community the funds needed to control its future. Cities and towns that adopt the Community Preservation Act generate monies for their local community preservation funds through the implementation of a local CPA property tax surcharge of up to 3%. Here in Abington, our percentage is 1.5%. And through the receipt of annual matching funds at variable rates from a statewide CPA trust fund created through that act. Abington adopted the CPA in 2016 and has been able to fund over 60 community-based projects. The committee is made up of members of Park and Rec, the Planning Board, Historical Commission, the Affordable Housing Trust, Conservation, and other interested community members. We typically meet 2 times a month from August through September and January to February to discuss interested projects with community members. The committee holds its fiduciary responsibilities in high regard. Caution is taken to ensure funds are carried over year to year. The CPA requires that communities spend or set aside for future spending a minimum of 10% of their annual CPA revenues for each of the 3 following categories: open space and recreation, historic preservation, and community housing. The remaining 70% of the funds are undesignated and can be used for any allowable project in any of the CPA categories. This gives each community tremendous flexibility to determine its own priorities. That's a little bit of background about the CPA. So at this time, we don't have anyone here for public comment, so we can run through the different projects that have been proposed. So if we start off at the top of our list with historical.
And sorry, just a note too, this spreadsheet can be found on the CPA website.
The one we were handed this evening?
Yes.
Yep, this one here. So we'll start right at the top, and you can see that these are color-coded for the different categories. So the first one is about for record preservation through the historical, and this is for preservation of town records in the amount of $48,000. We have been funding in previous years additional funds for record preservation. Does anyone have any questions about that one?
Yeah, I think the
Okay.
CPA has been funding this project for a long time.
Yeah.
And how many more records are still to be done?
I don't know exactly, but I understand, I think a lot, but I don't know, I would have to when I talk to Leanne about that.
Yeah, so it goes back to when the town first started the
Yeah,
preservation.
so this includes death records, birth records, anything town related, and Leanne has before brought up the preservation and shown us the books, and I'm sure if you reach out to her, she would be happy to show that to people.
All right, any additional questions about the record preservation or what that entails?
Rachel, are we going to review all of these and
Yep.
go back? Oh, okay.
Yep, so we'll review them all, and then we'll go back through and discuss, or just give a general overview, and then we can get into depth as far as what we want to press forward to the warrant.
If I don't ask now, I'll be thinking about
That's okay.
reviewing. But
Rachel.
what's the total?
$706,600. And I guess we have $904,650 available. And if we approve all the items listed, we have a surplus of $198,000.
Thank you, Paul. I'm sorry, what did you say that total was? 706?
Yeah, 706,600. And we have $904,650 available.
Yep.
Which, if we approve again all of these, we'd have a surplus remaining of $198,050 approximately.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
I just have a quick question
Yeah,
while we're
yes.
on housing. I don't see, my bad if I didn't do this, but I don't see any money here for the Affordable Housing Trust.
I don't think they put one through this year, did they?
It's not,
Did?
no.
No, I don't believe so. I think it was
Not
just
this year.
the windows.
Yep. So the next.
That's for the Housing Authority. the
Yep, so
windows.
for the, from the Housing Authority, for the Blanchard Gardens window replacement, this is replace windows throughout the entire complex, and that is in the amount of $100,000. I know we had these folks with us a couple times to talk about the state of the windows and the loss of heat, the infrastructure itself being damaged because of the windows. Does anyone have any other questions about that one, thoughts about that one?
Just to note that when the housing people came, they said that they're looking to get a grant for 2.5 times that amount, so
Up
so that
to.
the total impact could be as high as $350.
Yeah, yep. And a lot of these other, the groups do have matching grants available for, so it's a really good note. Thank you, Paul. So now, that is the two categories of historical and housing, and the rest of the category falls into recreation, and, was that outdoor recreation and, what's the name of it?
Open space.
Open space and recreation, thank you. So first on the list, we have a bike path at Riley Field, and it's construction of a gravel path alongside the outside of Riley track for bike use. And this was brought about from a community member and the schools, because we have a lot of children that are riding their bikes or walking to adjacent neighborhoods, and they're cutting up through Riley Field and the track, and in order to keep them off the track, we're trying to encourage them to use the space designated for that, and that is the amount of $45,000. Any questions around the bike path at Riley?
No.
All right. The next one for open space and recreation is a construction of a shed at Griffin's Dairy, and this is to be able to hold tools and equipment that they need for community gardens and for the preservation at Griffin's Dairy. This one was in the amount of $6,242.50, and that is also in conjunction with hopefully the VOTEC students. So it's a really great opportunity for students of the VOTEC to help with community projects, and it's great for us to be able to have them helping us with projects. Any additional questions about the construction at Griffin's Dairy?
No.
Thanks, Steve. All right. Moving right along, and this is also for Griffin's Dairy, and this is electricity to the Griffin's Dairy shed. So the construction of the shed, and then also for electricity for that. And again, this is using some community volunteers as well as the VOTEC for the amount of $4,702.50. I know we had a lot of discussion with Griffin's Dairy as these projects have come about. All right. While we're on Griffin's Dairy, I'm going to jump down to the bottom, and this is to, again, Griffin's Dairy bridge accessibility, and this is the addition of gravel along the footbridges to ensure ADA compliancy, and that would be in the amount of $755, and that includes the gravel to help ensure where it's washing away, where the footbridges are, to ensure that everybody has accessible opportunity to use Griffin's Dairy.
Just a note, I think CPA has been supporting Griffin's Dairy since 17.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a lot of projects that have been able to be funded through CPA to help that space. And there's a very dedicated committee that works tirelessly, countless hours over there at Griffin's Dairy. All right, any additional questions on that one?
No.
Wonderful. All right, let's go back up to the Island Grove Priority Plan. And this is looking for consulting services to assess Island Grove for priority needs list in the amount of $35,000. We are very well aware that our beautiful Island Grove facilities are in need of a lot of repair in a lot of different places. So this would allow the Park and Rec Department and DPW to look at what we have and the priority for how those things can be replaced, both through possibly additional CPA funds or capital improvements as those things become available. This would look at the useful life of the different things that we have, what sort of activities we have there with Eager Beaver and the swimming pool and other community events that are happening there, and also to keep in mind the historical presence that is over there at Island Grove. Any questions
I
on
have
that
a
one?
question. Is
Yeah.
there someone in mind to do this? Have we used someone in the past to do other?
We have several engineers that DPW uses often, so we would probably use one of those engineers
Yeah.
that we know have
Have that
done
past,
similar things for us, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the type of thing that we've talked to before. Doesn't have to go out to bid. This is just, that they can pick.
Engineering services, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
or at least with this threshold.
All right, any additional questions about that one? All right, next on our list is Strawberry Valley, and this is in the amount of $75,000 to help with the expansion of the Strawberry Valley Golf Course. Strawberry Valley Golf Course was given a tract of land, and this would help the Strawberry Valley Committee figure out how to best use that, that additional property and looking at how to work with the existing holes and make the existing holes more beneficial for the golfers that are there. Steve, do you want to speak a little bit more on this one?
Yeah, this one here, there's actually two pieces that, there's many phases that are going to be part of this project. We've already hired I'm on the Strawberry Valley Golf Committee. We've hired a design architect to help us design the use of the new 17 acres of land. And this funding would be then helped to, when it's time for that design to go out to bid, to pay a project manager to help us select the.
Who donated the land, Steve?
The land was donated by the Truffin family, Larry Truffin. The golf course was donated by his parents back in the mid-'80s. So it's quite a nice thing to do for any family. It's a lot of acreage.
Yeah, that's great.
Should maybe name a course after him.
Steve, I mean, just a quick question. I thought that the idea was that golf course, a long time ago, was proposed for housing. And the town decided to vote at town meeting to acquire it. Was it gifted by the Truffin family to the town?
Well, it was, we say it was gifted. I think it was sold for $1 million. There was $1 million.
Yes,
Although
yeah.
it was worth, even in the mid-'80s, a lot more than
But the
$1 million.
town did pay for it.
So the town paid $1 million and got a state grant for $740,000. So hence, I guess the town only paid about $250,000 for the project.
So, again, I just want to clarify. this.
Yep.
Town paid $1 million for it,
Yep.
presumably had to go through town meeting, and $750,000 from the state. Was that used for the construction of the golf, or was,
No, it was already a golf course.
Okay, so the Truffin family had it as a golf course?
Correct.
And then it was going to be redeveloped as housing, and then the town stepped in.
Actually, I think before it was a golf course, it was going to be developed as housing, but then the Truffins turned it into a golf course. Now, prior to donating it, I'm not sure whether that period, in mid-'80s, it was going to be turned into housing or not.
I know that was, I've been in town all my life,
Yeah.
and it was a big stink about that
Yeah.
turned into housing, just like Griffin's Dairy.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the value of the 17 acres, Steve? Was that valued at all?
No, I don't know.
Thank you for clarifying that, Steve.
All right, any additional questions about the expansion of Strawberry Valley Golf Course? All right, next on our list is the JV baseball field netting, and this is construction of a net behind the new JV baseball field down at Memorial Field, and that's the amount of $65,000. We have done a lot of work. We have down at Memorial Field, including new lights and fixing up the fields, making them safer, rearranging the way the fields are constructed to allow for a new JV baseball field, as well as additional playing fields down there, open space down there that can be used for a lot of different activities. And After the construction of the new JV baseball field, it was realized that there are some balls that are going into the adjoining neighborhood next door. So this was brought to us to put up a large net that would hopefully stop a lot of those baseballs from ending up in the property next door.
Rachel, when was when did CPA provide the bond for all that work? Was it last year?
The year before.
We started paying on it last year,
Yeah.
or technically within this
Yeah.
fiscal year, but for
Yeah.
FY '26 was the
And how much
first
was it
payment.
for?
We set aside, I believe it was 140 or 150 that was set aside for
That's the
it.
repayment, but what was the total amount of the bond proceeds?
I don't know exactly what it ended up
Million, was
being.
it?
It would
It was
be
around-
up to, I think we voted 1.7, up to 1.7.
Okay.
I don't know what the actual bond came in
So this is
at
like a
the end.
continuation of improvements for the investment that CPA, the town made.
Correct, yes.
Like a couple years ago, right?
Yep.
As well as a lot of these things are continual improvements on investments that CPA has made since it started in 16 or 17.
Yes,
Yeah.
most of them, I would say, are.
And the other thing, just to comment, is if CPA, as Rachel said, if CPA didn't exist, none of this stuff would be done.
Yep.
None of it would be done.
Yep. All right, next on that list is also sort of going out to that JV baseball field down at Memorial Field. And this is to look to construct an ADA emergency access path out to the new JV field. And again, this is just of improvement on that space. It would take the existing sort of track area next to the, between the stands and the football field and gather it path back around to the JV baseball field, and this would allow, again, for emergency services, as well as path for those that are going to, that might need ADA accessibility out to that new field. And just a quick side note also about Memorial Field, since we've put in the sort of fixed it up, I guess is the best, that's not really the best way to say that. Since we've put in those improvements, the fields have been able to be used in the summertime for many, many tournaments. Almost every weekend, they've had tournaments down there, which is also bringing additional income into the town. So by making those improvements, we've been able to bring in additional income, and this just adds, again, to that space, making it more accessible for more people to be able to use.
Rachel, could you spell out, I always hate acronyms. Could you spell out for the folks at home what ADA means, please?
So the exact terminology, now you're going to put me on the spot at the end.
American
American Disabilities Act, I know, which basically means that, like, we are making it so that folks have a steady space to get someplace and that they have equal access to different areas.
Thank you.
Yes. It's the end of the day. Killing me.
I always like acronyms spelled out.
I know. And I sadly, I shouldn't assume that people know what ADA is, because I just blanked on what the actual acronym was. All right.
City Planning Board, I make it.
Any additional questions or comments on that one? No. All right. The next on the list is restrooms at Memorial Field. And this is to take the existing snack area, snack shack, shed,
Snack.
storage area that's already down there, and to sort of fix it up, revamp it, move things around, remodel, I guess that's the best word, to put in, again, ADA accessible public restrooms that would be available while events are happening down at Memorial Field. They wouldn't be open 24 hours a day, but when there's football games, when there's tournaments, when there's baseball games, as well as community events, it would give additional restrooms down there. There would still be the need during big events to bring in porta potties, but this would be available other times, softball games, that kind of thing.
And, sorry, just
no,
a
go
note
ahead.
on that one, too, that was discussed with football and all relevant parties, so this would not be a surprise to them. They would be losing a little bit of storage, but it will be given in other places, so they are all okay with this.
Yeah. My understanding is that they're bringing in additional trailers like we use over at the turf fields, so that they would have additional storage space so they'd be taking some of the storage out of that area, but they'd have additional storage that's watertight. Not really, I mean, they're big steel cages, so that would be good. This would also give additional storage space for the folks that use the snack area, the boosters, and other groups that use that space regularly, so that's also really great. All right,
So it would be accessible, just to repeat a little bit.
Yeah.
Baseball, softball, playground, and events that take place down in Memorial
Well,
Field.
not necessarily the playground on a regular basis. I guess if there was, I don't know the logistics of how it would work, but I imagine something like with Riley Field, it's open during games or
Yeah,
big events.
yeah.
And then groups could, if there is an event happening, like a private event happening, groups can rent the
Yeah.
field, and then can request bathroom access. But it's not something that would just be open on a regular basis for people to be.
like 9 to
using.
5 or something.
Okay.
Also, cross-country meets, I forgot that one, also uses that space,
Right, that's
so
right,
that
too.
would be
Yep.
really great for them as well. All right, anything additional on that one? All right, next on the list is softball field improvements, and this is renovation of softball fields and dugouts. This is also something that's been happening year to year with the softball fields down at Beaverbrook, and this would allow for additional dugouts to be appropriate and additional field upgrades. The softball program has been growing over the last couple of years, and this would give them also the opportunity to host tournaments, where right now we really don't have appropriate fields that are in a condition that they can host tournaments. So not only is this a great opportunity for the youth in town, those are also rented on weekends through other groups. There's a kickball league, a kickball tournament that happens every year, and some other charity events that happen down there. So this is just another way to upgrade existing facilities and make them nicer and in better condition for those that are using them.
Yeah, just a comment, both softball and Little League presented a 3 to 5 year plan in terms of what they want to do and stuff like that, so it's kind of well thought out, and this being the first part of it.
Yeah, this would be, this is in addition to funds that have already happened through CPA, and this is sort of like this next chunk going forward. This would be the first phase of the next chunk going forward on that. All right, anything else on that one? Any questions, any additional comments? Okay. Next on the list is Abington Public Library, Sit and Read, and this is for the replacement of benches in front of the library and town hall, and this is in the amount of $6,500. And right now, there are not an abundance of benches outside the library. There are many students that walk up from the middle school and high school that use the library after school. They wait for parents in a area that they feel more comfortable and confident. So this would replace those benches with something that's more weatherproof, and hopefully be able to last for many, many more years. And that's not really much else to say about that, but any
Did you know
additional
there was a
questions?
library over there, Steve?
Yes, I happened to drive by it on my way here, Paul.
Yeah, excellent, excellent.
And I made my lunch. No, I didn't.
All right, anything else about that one? All right, we talked about Griffin's Dairy on our list up above when we were talking the other additions of Griffin's Dairy, so we're going to skip down to Little League. And again, this is for improvements to various Little League fields throughout the town, and this is in the amount of $63,400. And like we talked about with softball, they've given us a 3 to 5 year sort of plan, and this is that first new investment in those spaces to make them better, more safer, as well as the ability to then bring in additional income to the town, be able to use those fields in appropriate ways.
You know, it's interesting to know when you look at the list, there's like a ton of people that benefit from these projects, whether it's population at large, kids, whatever. So it's money well used for a lot of good purposes.
Yeah.
And if anybody's ever interested, on the Community Preservation State website, there's a database, and we're required every September after town meeting to enter in all the projects that were approved at town meeting. And it is a good resource if you're looking to see what Abington has done with the money. Every project has been there. You can filter it by category, by year, but it's just a good place to see. And when you actually look at it collectively, it's a lot that has been done.
I look
Yeah,
at
I
that
think,
website a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Talking about resources, I think it should be noted that Kelly's been the mainstay on the CPA since we started. So I
Thank
think
you.
done a great job in terms of keeping everybody in line and providing historical perspective and stuff, so good job.
And being a great liaison with our, with the state CPA, and when we have questions or not sure how to sort of go about something or handle that, they've been she's our liaison to them, and sometimes we get a lot more information than we were ready for, which is good, because it
Most
educates all
times.
of us most times.
Also, the town DPW, which, so many issues. I just have a quick question, and I should have asked. Are there advertising signs up at the Plymouth Street, the field on Plymouth Street?
Like on the fence side?
On the fences. Now, I've just, a lot of towns have those signs and stuff like that. Where does that revenue, who pays that, and where does that revenue go?
So that's done through the leagues themselves. So the leagues that use those spaces, so Little League, softball, even soccer, they would, even street hockey, different town leagues, they ask different companies, different small businesses in town, or even some outside of town, to help support the youth. So that money goes back into the work that they're doing. So it could help pay for additional equipment, could help pay for uniforms, training for their coaches, scholarships, anything within those leagues. And a lot of that also goes to the work that they do on their own that doesn't happen through DPW, CPA. They do additional things on their own.
So we can't be asking for naming rights to the fields, like Gillette Stadium or something like that.
No, at least I don't. I guess
if they
they're
gave
gonna
enough money,
donate
they
something
probably
really
could.
good.
Yeah,
No.
A dome.
yeah.
I just want to throw that out as far as, revenue and stuff. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I just want to jump on something that Kelly said earlier about the state CPA site. It's also really great if you want to see what other towns are doing. We've started to put up sort of signs around town for some of the projects that are ongoing, like the Memorial Bridge, and over to Island Grove, as well as some of the signage for different historical things in town, and grant money from the state and how that all works together. So it's really kind of cool to see what other towns are doing. In addition to that, a couple years ago, one of the former members of CPA put together a Google map that's specific to Abington. It needs to be updated. I'm going to reach out to her and get that updated, hopefully, as soon as town meeting is over. And you can actually just click on the map, and it'll give you information about our specific things that happened here, which is really kind of neat for folks in town to see that.
Yeah, when Abington, people voted to start CPA, I think we were one of, 60 cities and towns across the state?
Yeah.
And now there's,
150
almost
at
400,
least.
Right.
almost every city and state is a member of
Yeah.
it.
There's a lot.
Yeah, it's grown in the last 5 years as many communities have adopted it.
Yeah. All right, anything additional about the description of the projects?
I just wanted to mention, in case someone's just tuning in, we've just reviewed these 14 projects, but for the last few months, we've reviewed all the applications, so we're very knowledgeable. I don't know if Barry is. We're knowledgeable about all these projects. We didn't just review these in 10 minutes type
No,
thing.
it's,
They've all been thoroughly vetted.
and to the folks that brought projects to us for their time and their dedication, and a lot of the groups are seeking out additional grant money, and that really helps these projects. They can get grant money if they have sort of that seed money to start. So a lot of these projects are also happening because, like we mentioned on the replacing the windows through housing, the certain amount of money really can take money much further through state grants, which is really awesome. All right, so we don't have anyone here for public comment. So we will move into our discussion and vote on projects to recommend to be placed on the FY27 town meeting warrant. So from here, whatever we decide tonight will go on to the warrant for the residents. We'll review it again at town meeting for residents to vote on.
Would you like me to go over this?
Yes,
real
please.
quick?
Thank you, Kelly.
So just going over the revenue for FY27, so CPA, we work with funding that has been carried over from years, but then we also are using, for the next fiscal year, we're approving money with anticipated local revenue and then the anticipated state match. So coming into FY '27, we'll have a carryover of 447,000. Then the anticipated local revenue did increase based on the last couple years' numbers. So that will be estimated at 534,000. The state match, there was an error on the sheet. It actually, we estimated it lower to 10%. That's based on the town accountant's recommendation and how the state match is trending. And that is a good thing to see that other towns are adopting CPA, but it's also bad for us because that means we get less. So that's estimated to be 53,000. So that brings the total to 1,034,000. Then we have some minimums. So we've already committed, there's the memorial bond payment, I believe was actually like 99,000, but just estimating a little bit, 100,000. The 10% minimum for recreation open space would be 5,700, same with housing and historic. Historic, we also have a previous reserve of 56,635. That was from, I believe, last year. I don't know off the top of my head, but it was a reserve from a year that we did not have any historic projects. And then there is a 5% minimum required for expense. That pays for, like if we wanted to buy signs for any of these project locations, that goes to supplies, that pays for my salary, it goes to anything it can also be used for various things, like we had talked about potentially buying property, it could be used for an appraisal service, something along those lines. So that, I believe, what did we say the total was for that? So the total left after those obligations would be 904,650. And that would be what could be spent on the projects for this year. But that also means that you still have to meet those 10% minimums, of course.
So we're going to have to keep
Kelly-
a running tally of what we're appropriating, so we don't run over this amount.
Correct, yes.
Based on the minimums that you have to put into historical recreation and housing, if that money hasn't been spent, how long does it have to sit there before it gets moved into the general fund?
To my knowledge, it always has to sit
Yeah,
there.
it always
So
has to
there's
stay there.
no specific time, it will just,
Just accumulate?
yeah, so I know for a long time, for example, before we got any housing projects at any point, it had just been building and building, and that was for several years
Okay.
before the housing trust was formed. So yeah, it will just sit there forever.
It would be good to know how much, well, I'm chair of the Housing Trust, I should know this, but it would be good to know how much we've accumulated for the Housing Trust over the years.
I
We
could,
can look back.
yeah, we can look on that. The database too would be a good one. We can filter out. Most of the housing projects, aside from just a couple, I believe, have been for the trust. So we can find
Yeah,
that out.
appreciate it if you could pass that
Yeah,
along to
sure,
all of us
yeah.
too, thank you. Of course, we're doing the Habitat House now, which is good.
Yep.
Yep.
Also looking at the historical reserve, knowing that coming down the road, we are also working with the Memorial Bridge preservation. So having that bucket of money sort of accumulating could really benefit us as we look at that project. That's sort of working its way through.
Yes. And just a side note on that too, while we're talking about it. So just to note, for the record preservation, it's only requested for 48,000, which means that that still would not meet the full 10% minimum. So if that project was approved, there would have to be an additional housing reserve, or historic reserve rather, to meet that 10% minimum.
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry. I
I
didn't
know,
quite follow.
I was
know.
confused. I was confusing myself there.
Like I got it and then I was like, wait,
keep
I don't know if I
messing
got
up,
that.
Housing and historic, so because the record preservation, the historic project, we only have one historic project,
Yep.
that's lower than the 10% minimum required.
Yep.
For this year, which is 58,700. So if that project is approved and you guys approve it, we would still need to approve a reserve.
So then we have like
For the difference.
18,700 in reserve
Right.
that would go into the bucket continuing forward.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought you were saying, but then I was like, wait, I didn't quite get it.
Yes.
Okay, numbers, the end of the day. All right, so let's sort of have additional conversation about the different projects. I know we've gone through step by step, sort of how we want to tackle this to move it forward to any of the projects that we want to approve, move forward to the town meeting warrant.
Just one more, I hate to be a pain.
No, don't ask questions you have, because it's better. I'm sure that
Say
people
we approved all of these projects, what would the total be? I'm just curious.
706,000, Bruce.
Really?
I actually thought it was gonna be a lot more than that.
I did too.
So the total would be 706?
Yes.
And that would leave in,
Carry forward like 198,000.
yeah,
I had it. From way back.
202, but.
So conceivably, if we're feeling really generous tonight, we could approve.
And we, Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but we also, if a group asked for, like, let's say $65,000, but we weren't really comfortable giving them that full amount, we could give them partial amounts, realizing that they might not be able to do all the things that they want to do, but also looking at, just keep in mind, like the town budgets, as far as like moving forward and knowing that there's not going to be a whole lot of capital projects happening through the town departments, that it's sort of one of those things to just keep in the back of your mind, that we don't have to approve all of these. We can, we don't have to. And looking forward, trying to like sort of think down the road, like what other things might come up in the next 2 to 3 years where we know that the town budget is so limited, and how can we help move some of those projects forward with what we are tasked with.
I think
I
we
know
should
next
note,
year the Housing Trust will be asking for money. Next year.
I think we should note that this money is segregated in town.
Yes,
So the town can't take the money away from us.
correct.
So-
No.
Yep, so in the past, yes, Rachel, you're right, is there have been cases where they have requested an amount that the CPA has decided not to fund the entire project. And that could be for a variety of reasons. Some of them have been because it was a limited budget and, we just didn't have the full amount for it. And then sometimes there might be, so in a lot of these applications, they are broken down by project specifics about, what it's gonna be used for. And there have been cases where the CPC has decided that they would like to fund a specific part of that project, but not the other part of it. So within reason, I mean, yes, that is an option too, is to, if any of these projects, there's a certain part that you would like to vote for, but then there's another part that you're not comfortable with or don't think is.
Yeah, I think we
is-
saw, at least when I was reviewing some of the 3 to 5 year plans for Little League and softball, that some of the projected plans in the future may or may not make sense. But I think,
Right.
I think the process that we've used is that we've pre-qualified them all to make sure they're eligible. And I think what we see here are ones that we thought that made sense. So in terms of a process, Rachel, you want to just somebody just give a quick overview of each, and then we can have a discussion? Because we already discussed it kind of in detail, and some of these might want to have a little bit longer discussion on, but it might help expedite the process.
Yeah, and also just one more quick note, that even if we, let's say, we give them the full amount that they're asking for, and they might have projected, it was gonna cost this much money, and then, let's say materials for some crazy reason, or labor, ends up being less money, whatever money they don't spend comes back into the CPA, so it's really
Yes.
important. We've definitely gotten money back from projects, some projects that they think they're gonna happen, but then if they don't happen within 3 years, that money automatically comes back.
Yeah, and
into-
also too, if the scope changes
Yep.
from what they presented to us, they have to come back for approval.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and-
And it's not money that they can just
Yeah.
spend.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good note too, going back to the great resource of
Yeah.
the state CPA website. All the guidelines are on that website, and CPA is very specific in not only what the funding can be used for, but how people apply for it, how it's spent, how it functions, all of that. So like you guys, it is particular in the case of they apply for a very specific project, and if that project, if they, for example, decide to, we actually need to do this while they're working on the field, and decide, we need a shed too. If that wasn't in that project, they cannot use that money unless they came back and requested kind of an amendment for it. So it is very specific in what it can be used for.
All right,
I have another comment.
yeah,
So last year, we had almost $500,000 in reserve that we didn't spend, which is, we've never made a decision as a group how much to keep in a reserve. When I got on the committee, I knew I didn't want to have a large reserve. If a big project comes out, we'll end up bonding it. But there is it's nice seeing that much money in reserve. So I don't know, we could fund all of these and come down with, Paul, you had mentioned only about 200,000 left. That concerns me because of the estimated revenues for the taxation and for the match. I think we were conservative with them, but,
Yes.
and we kick off next year, it's nice to have a reserve in case housing does decide to do something, or there is a big project that doesn't really quite have to be bonded, but we can push through. So I know I have some of these that are great projects, but I could hold back on just to keep us with a reserve. And they could come back next year.
yeah.
Okay.
Do we hold off, we all represent various boards on this thing, and Housing Trust didn't put anything in. Sure, but Steve's involved with, I'm not my friend, but you're involved with Strawberry Valley. Do we recluse ourselves if we're,
I'm glad you
I meant to
brought
ask
that
that earlier.
up, because
Yeah.
I did look into that. Yes, so during the discussion portion, it's not as much of a issue for the application process, just voting that, yes, this is a complete application. I could not find anything that specifically said you must recluse yourself, but it was suggested that, yes, if it is something that you are either directly a part of, or were on the board for, or had some part in
I would like.
the application, then yes.
My thought was people on those boards know intimately what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
So to me, I have more comfort in, maybe if you're going to recuse them, but they give us their opinion as to they're in favor of it.
Yeah.
Because if they're not, then I don't have an interest in doing it.
Right.
But I want to know where we meet all the time.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
it makes sense to them,
I'm not, Ellen and Steve, guys are my friends. I don't want to cut you off, but I just thought that was a valid point.
Yes, and
Oh,
that.
no, we talked about the last
That was
meeting.
kind of the way it
Yeah.
was suggested to, was, of course, and that was part of the issue is, of course, you're going to be for it because
Yeah.
it's a project that you helped with. So that's kind of where the issue came in. But no, I agree that it would be nice to hear from them, but
It's just, my point was, our last
Yeah.
meeting wasn't on television, but it is tonight.
Yep.
So people are hearing this. Our meetings are public, but we're having a much
You know,
broader
I
audience
think a lot
hearing
of
this.
the, when I look down the list, a lot of these requests are like for like basic necessity type extensions and projects we've already financed, so again, I go back to the Little League and the softball in that, you know, their big numbers are years to come, and I'm not sure whether we'll be able to do those. So if somebody, Little League was looking for $200,000 for lighting today, I'd say no, all right?
Right.
But they're looking for dugouts, you know, I don't know, to keep the kids safe, that makes sense, right? So I think the, having the reserve is, I think is important. I think it, but based on, you know, like the quality of what the requests are and how much, like the capital reserve study for Island Grove, that makes sense. We did one recently, years in the past, for the bridge,
Right.
and those types of things. So I think it's a good point. I'm not sure whether.
I think these are all reasonable requests. We
Yeah,
just have
yes,
to-
yeah. So anyways,
And I will mention too, I do try and kind of touch base with applicants throughout the season too. Like I went to Little League and softball and said to them, we have a lot of projects this year. You know, their initial requests were significantly higher. We have a lot of projects this year. Is there something that you could prioritize above some of these? So that's something that I would anticipate happening every year, where, you know, if next year we came in and we only had a few projects, some of these groups might be able to apply for something a little bit more of a higher cost. But they do, I think most groups are willing and able to prioritize and work their numbers a little bit.
You know, what people aren't hearing at this meeting is when these groups come before us with their application, this isn't the sole source of funding for these projects. They've done aggressive fundraising and, you know, like the Housing Authority, for example, 100,000. You know, Tom People wasn't here. They're gonna get a lot of funding for this. The baseball groups, Little League, all these things, they are aggressive fundraisers. So they're only asking, you know, for a certain amount of money from us, but they do need a lot more
Right,
money.
yes.
Yeah, thank you. All right, sure.
All right, so, I guess, let's look at it, are there any projects that we want to sort of come back around to discuss, and possibly figure out, is there, is there a piece of the project that might take that estimate down a little bit? I think that can help kind of narrow in our numbers. Like you said, we would have about 200,000 in reserve, and I'm trying to think historically how much we've left in reserve.
It really has varied year to year. Some years we have come into it with a much higher reserve. There have been, I was just looking at some of our past articles before, I want to say for about 3 years in a row, there was 200 or less in our reserves. Now, granted, that was in the first few years, but it does vary.
Yep. And now we have the bond.
I was just gonna
Yes.
say that, and we also, like, going forward, we know it's gonna be less every year.
Yeah.
But we have, if we have 200 in reserve, 100 of that about is going to automatically go towards the bond
Memorial.
payment for Memorial
Yes.
Field. So that brings that down even
Yeah.
lower.
Well, I think, Rachel, what you had said, there's some of these, I think, you know, we should almost just throw on the table, which ones do we want to discuss?
Yeah.
There's like, I have, there's 14 on the page, I have probably 10 that I'm okay with. And I'd
Okay.
like to discuss 4.
Do you want to throw out your first discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to throw out,
Not
The,
throw out away, but like talk about, sorry,
Open to discussion.
open to discussion.
I guess I have 3.
Okay.
I got baseball, the baseball, the softball, and the restrooms.
Okay.
does
And,
it make sense just to go through like top to bottom, like the smaller amounts, like, I don't know, it seems like we're definitely gonna do preservation for the town records.
Let's just say, Paul, I mean, if we
Gravel.
throw out which ones we want to discuss, probably
Don't do that.
majority
All right.
will be,
Okay.
we won't have to discuss.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is go down a list like this, top to bottom.
Again.
And come to the
Yeah.
bottom couple and say, well, now,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those three,
Which ones you have?
I had the baseball, softball, and the restrooms.
Okay.
Those are my three, too.
Let's go.
And so Meredith has those
Yeah.
three.
Yep. And I do think that with the exception of Strawberry Valley, those are the sort of higher end
Right.
ones that are coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
And going to the restrooms, Memorial Field restrooms, and I believe Sean had reached out to you as well, but I did have a conversation with him, and he noted that that is a lower priority for some of the projects that he has submitted for Memorial Field, or that other people have submitted for Memorial Field. Not that it's something, it's definitely something they want to do.
Well, like,
But if
something
there's-
like that one, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
But something like that, when you know we're gonna see it next year. So it's
Right.
not like if that one would, none of them would just go away.
Yes, and that's exactly what he said.
Well,
is
that one does have,
out
like-
of all of them,
You-
that's
like-
just the most time sensitive.
And that has the porta potties will do the trick rather than that.
So this year.
But one thing though too is having stuff done today would be cheaper than having it done like a year from now based
Right,
on
that's
the
true.
cost of materials and all that kind of junk, so.
There also could be some, looking, like if we, as in our committee, Park and Rec, Memorial Field Committee, the school, it's kind of a funky little space of property, who all is impacted by that
You're
specific
right,
spot,
yeah.
know that that is something that we want to move forward, even knowing that town budgets are very tight over the next couple of years. What additional fundraising, what volunteer work, like this is sort of something that doesn't just like die out today. If we know that that's something that folks are looking for, especially like families that are down there having, again, ADA accessible, like that's something that doesn't just go away. It means we have additional conversations on how we can either get grant money for that, how we can use volunteer labor for some of those pieces. People might be interested in doing a fundraiser. So it doesn't just mean that it's like gone. It just
Right.
means that we're not ready to fund that with the money from CPA for this year. So just to kind of, like any of these projects, it's not like we don't like them.
Well,
It's that,
housing is a good example because of the additional money being provided by outside sources, et cetera. So I think some of these things might make sense to say, well, we have money, but if the project is like $175,000 for the restrooms, but Sean and other people are going to donate like of around have donations for half of that. Now that's an easier project to do and kind of takes that money a little bit further in terms of other things we can do.
right. And I think that was sort of very early in the thought process too, when it came to us. I mean, it's a full application, it's eligible, but as far as like the thought process of how else it can happen, I think it was a little bit in the earlier thought process, if that's fair. And I don't want to speak for Sean, I don't want to.
Well,
Yeah.
we received a number, he made a valid point, I thought, that, it's obviously a big issue, at Riley Field, we have the bathrooms to work over. But he was also saying that the kids use the bathrooms in the old Frollo school and stuff in the toilets and stuff like that, and screw it up. And this wouldn't be a fancy deal, this would presumably just be a hole and going around, and wouldn't be anything, kids could clog up and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's an ongoing maintenance issue with the Frollo school. And these restrooms would, alleviate that concern. I mean, $175,000 is a lot of money, but it is a valid issue. And he said they will have porta potties. I'm just throwing this out, that these were concerns that were raised. And there were several iterations of this program. It came a long way, and this was considerably downsized, as you recall, from what they originally proposed.
Right.
And a lot more money, too, and stuff like that. So they really came, I thought a lot of, I think they put a lot of thought into this.
Correct. Agreed.
Well, which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, actually, do people, other ones, the ones you'd like to discuss, or?
I have the same ones.
Okay. Anyone, yeah, I think just to sort of check them all and then.
I think the
go through them.
restrooms was the most significant one that I
Okay.
wanted to speak about.
Anyone else? So we talked about, or we're talking about specifically, Little League, softball, restrooms, and was there anything else? I thought you had a fourth. Did you have a
I
fourth?
thought I had four.
You didn't? Okay.
Three.
Anyone else have anything else that they want to discuss?
It wasn't the netting, but that was pretty well discussed.
Yeah.
The need for that was pretty well described.
Yeah, like someone had mentioned, and a lot in the presentations, when you talk about safety and like, that word gets thrown in, but that is a bit of a safety issue, so
Yeah.
it does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's impacting people in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing for golf balls, of course, if you hit it or something.
I don't think you want to get hit by a baseball.
But a
either.
baseball is a little bit bigger than a golf
Yeah.
ball,
Yeah.
Steve.
And, like, most of the, like, people playing different sports, like, it impacts differently.
So, I mean, should we just say, take those three out and let's vote on the other ones one by one? And then go back to vote on those three?
Could do that.
I'm okay with that. Does that sound like an okay process for folks?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have to vote individually on each project? I can't remember, I'm sorry. Or do we do
I don't
this
Yes,
bulk?
yes.
Yeah. I
Okay,
probably would
let's do it that way then. So let's start right at the top with the preservation of town records. Do we have a motion on the
I'll
floor?
make the
to-
motion to approve the 48,000 for preservation of town records.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Thank you. All right, moving down to replacing the windows throughout the Blanchard Gardens housing for the amount of $100,000. Is there a motion on the floor?
I would make the motion that we approve the 100,000 to replace windows through the complex, providing that they also get the match that they talked about.
That's great to add in there. Thank you, Paul. Do we have a second?
Second?
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any-
Abstain.
Thank you.
Ooh, good one.
Wow, wow.
She was on top of
Are
that.
you supportive of it, though?
Oh, most definitely. You should see the windows, they're horrible.
Thank you.
I've seen them.
I also thought their research and presentation was some of the best that
Excellent,
we've
yeah.
seen in my time on the committee.
Oh, yeah.
They were wonderful.
And I think having one of the folks that works with them that's also in the CPA in Easton.
Yes.
And bringing that knowledge to us, I think was really great. I think that was really well. You're right.
And they made the point that you just couldn't replace it with Andersons or
Yeah,
Harveys or anything.
it has to be new
Right.
construction in order to really meet that. The state is very specific on what they can do in order to preserve what the work is that they're doing. All right, moving down into, so that was historical and housing. So whatever money, again, in those buckets that isn't used this year continues to stay in the reserve for the following fiscal year. So moving down into open space and recreation, and this typically is where we have most of the projects. And so this first one is for the construction of a gravel path along the outside of Riley Track for bike use, and that's in the amount of $45,000. Do we have a motion on the floor?
I would make the motion to approve that.
Is there a
Second.
second? Any further discussion?
I think we just note, too, that this is a follow-up to money CPA has approved to replace the track several years ago, et cetera.
Yeah, so keeping that, part of it is sort of public, explaining why they can't be on the track with wheels, and so education, that was the word I was looking for, and giving them an additional, like, opportunity to go through there. All right, any additional discussion on that one? We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any oppose or abstain? All right. So the next one is for the construction of a shed at Griffin's Dairy in the amount of $6,242.50. And just a note that this one was also using volunteer labor with the VOTEC, so giving additional opportunities for those students, as well as working with the committee and DPW, I'm sure, at some point.
Sure.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Paul.
62.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any additional discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Thank you. Moving down, and this is to, it's going to sound really funny to say electrify, but to bring electricity to the Griffin's Dairy shed in the amount of $4,702.50. And again, that is for all of the work with that in order to be able to keep the shed in good standing when it is built. Do we have a motion on the floor?
I would like to make the motion to approve the $4,700 for that.
Second.
For 4702.50.
Excuse me.
Yeah, 470250.
50.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Thank you. Next is the consulting services to assess Island Grove for priority need list, and that's the amount of $35,000. Is there a motion on the floor? Thank you,
I'll
Steve.
make the motion, Mr. Mull.
Thank you, Mr. Wakewood. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I will abstain as the Chair of Park and Rec. I am totally for it, but abstaining. The next is the amount of $75,000 for the expansion of the Strawberry Valley Golf Course. Do we have a motion on the floor?
I would make the motion to approve with the conditions that we get a budget for the 75 as they come up.
Yeah, actually, Paul, making conditions, now, and I'm making conditions on these. I mean, I don't know, we've never really made conditions on the approval.
Well, this is the only one
But-
that we don't have, bids.
I mean, there will be, this one here, we will have to, no, we won't have to put up to bid on this
No,
particular
my
person.
point always like, we're looking to approve 75,000.
Correct.
For the golf course.
Correct,
Versus like Griffin's Dairy, 6,200 for a shed.
right.
4,700 for,
I understand.
so,
I understand.
so,
But,
but we need some
But
backup.
that's also
when we-
similar-
I mean, there's gonna be, as with any project, there's gonna be the receipts and the whole.
Yeah, well,
shebang coming back.
But that's also sort of similar, I mean, I know it says consulting services to Island Grove, but we don't really know how, like, I guess maybe the title of it, my understanding is that the 75,000 really was going for sort of those consulting fees, is that?
Correct.
So maybe just
we
clarifying.
Clarify the
Yeah.
title?
Do you want me to
Yeah,
read
that
this?
it's
Oh, actually-
For consulting.
I have what's written here for the Phase 1 design. Oh, that's the one that's already funded, so this
Correct.
is Phase 2, correct?
Correct.
So it would be construction, documentation development, project bidding and bid administrative services, construction review and design build services for $75,000.
sounds good.
No, but whatever we have will certainly come back.
Right, so the process for all these is the same. So we pay based on getting a bill to correspond to the amount
Right.
requested.
Right, yep, so they submit an invoice and then you guys
Typical
will
process.
approve it before it's
Yes,
paid.
yep.
So I wonder if we change the title, the description of that, just so it's more clear?
Yep.
So do we want to say the, like, the construction,
Or just consulting services.
consulting services for the expansion of
Yes,
Strawberry
that would
Valley
be
Golf
good,
Course?
Yeah.
Do we have to make a motion to change the name?
I would just approve it with that consulting
Okay,
services
so
added.
if we can have a motion on the floor.
So let me back up my motion.
Okay,
My
take it
motion
back.
is- My motion is to approve the $75,000 for Strawberry Valley Golf Course expansion,
Consulting services?
consulting services.
Phase 2.
I second it.
Okay, any further discussion?
I
I think that's going to
right.
have some discussion on town meeting floor.
That's fine, they can discuss it then.
So Steve, you can get up and explain.
Oh, yeah. I'd be more than happy.
I'll invite you up with
I
me,
mean,
I would
it's
love
a town
that, Steve.
decision. You know, we can spend $1 million to, onto the new property, or spend $3 million. You know, do we want ponds? Do we want bathrooms out there? Do we want, you know, whatever? Or we can just do what we're proposing now, is just kind of make some of the holes longer by using this new property.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain?
Abstain.
Thank you, Steve. All right, next on our list is the construction of a net behind the new JV baseball field in the amount of $65,000. And again, this is to help safely keep the neighbors from getting baseballs in their yards while they are enjoying the beautiful non-frigid weather. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Motion?
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Thank you. Next is for construction of ADA accessible emergency access path to the new JV baseball field on Riley Field, and this is for the amount of $32,000. Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
sorry.
Aye.
Oh.
Is there additional discussion? Sorry, I went too fast. Okay, if there's no additional discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Thank you. So we're going to skip over Memorial Field bathrooms, softball, because we're going to discuss that further. We're going to move down to the Abington Public Library, sit and read, the replacement of benches in front of Town Hall and Library for the amount of $6,500. Do we have a motion on the floor?
I make the motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say, they did tell us they'll be using the existing pads.
Yes.
Of the concrete that are there, and then put the new benches on those.
Yeah.
So,
Good point.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Thank you. Next, we have, back again at Griffin Stair, the addition of gravel along the footbridges to ensure ADA compliancy in the amount of $755. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Thank you. That was second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Thank you. All right, so let's go back up. I know we've sort of talked around a little bit about the construction of the public restrooms at Memorial Field.
What are we gonna do, Lou?
No, we're gonna hold off on that. Those are the three we're gonna
Okay,
discuss.
okay, sure.
Yep, those were the three
Yep.
sort of check that we wanted to go back to.
And I just did the math out quickly so everybody knows, without those three so far, we're at $428,200. And that includes the balance for, that's needed, the $10,700 to meet the historic minimum.
So
And
that's
does
how
that
it's
include the
spending our
bond
reserve.
for-
That's what's remaining, or that's what the total would be with all that you have approved so far, not including bathroom, softball, Little League.
And that also, that includes the bond.
No, nope, that does not include that. So
So that would.
So
'cause
without, or including the bond and everything, you had a total to work with of 904,650. And so far with everything you have approved, it's 428,200.
So the bond is, the 904 is after the bond payment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry. What was your question, Paul?
Yeah, the 904 availability is after the $100,000 bond payment.
So that's already been, so
Yes.
we would have
That's
1
been-
million,
Yep, so, or no,
No.
that 904
yeah.
is after the bond has been taken out. Because technically you had 1,034,000.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was asking, okay.
So we
that
have
takes
about
that- okay.
476,000 of availability.
Right, after what you've approved so far.
Right. Before we go into discussion of these three items.
Yep, okay. Thank you, that was very helpful. Discussion further around the construction of public restrooms at Memorial Field?
Well, I've talked about the need. The issue right now is that they're just using porta potties. They're having to use the antiquated facilities at the Frollo School, and there's issues with kids putting stuff in toilets and stuff like that, and having maintenance people have to fix them. You know,
Well, they shut those off, haven't they, Bruce?
Yeah, you can't go in
There's no
Frollo
access to
anymore.
that.
It's just the porta
But-
potties.
So my concern also, if we're gonna spend this money, that is going to be an additional problem in this new facility as much as it was in the old facility.
Well, it's a
Part of it with the new facility, if they do have people like visibly using the snack shack for snacks, I don't think, what do they even call that? It's not a snack shack, is
Booster
it?
stand. The booster.
Booster stand, all right, whatever it is. Anyway, like, if you have people, the more people around, the less likely people are to do that. But I can tell you that people, typically young people, are doing these things everywhere. So I'm not sure that,
Well, you need
That-
somebody to be there, right? So like, if somebody was actually up at the school there and it's kind of supervising the use of the bathrooms, probably wouldn't have that issue. Probably you need to do the same thing. if
but
you-
who's
if you
going to do
did this.
that? So I guess that's part of the question. I
Yeah,
mean,
somebody
because-
has to do it.
And is that a stipulation of CPA giving those funds. I don't know how that can be.
Yeah, I don't know either, but somebody needs, so if it's an issue and you don't come up with a solution to take care of it, then it's just gonna be a problem forever.
Yeah, no, I agree with
Right.
that.
So,
So I guess if there's specific groups that are using that space, but again, I
so
don't know
would-
how we
would-
can figure that out
I would
here.
think that would go back to the athletic department of the school to figure out a way to prevent that from happening.
Maybe have hand dryers so they're not using paper towels.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's a great,
Part of it.
it's a greatly simplified plumbing. I don't think it's a flush thing. I think it's, like the porta potty, it doesn't involve water being used to flush these things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that lessens the chance of people screwing
yeah,
up.
no, they
believe
do.
it is
It's
connected to
fully-
sewer and water.
Yeah,
It's a full bathroom.
Yes, I believe, I don't think it would,
I don't think
to
it's
my
like
knowledge at least,
composting.
yes, I
Yeah.
believe
Well, I
it
think,
is going to be a.
I don't know who made the
So
comment
they're gonna have to
about,
open water to it.
about this, Sean kind of brought it in a little bit rushed and stuff like that, so there is a solution, just continue to use the porta potties and maybe revisit it like next year after they spend a little bit more time, to see if it, if the number's the right number, it can be refined up or down and,
Yeah.
or whatever, I don't know.
I'd also like to see like a cleaning plan, like how, because they talked about the custodial staff from Beaverbrook coming and cleaning it, if that's going to be part of their job description now. Like, I think that needs to be ironed out,
Yeah,
so it's not just, sitting there gross.
I think we get hung up on paper towels in the toilet here. I think the real issue is the ADA and the location. Like, people just can't come from the softball field and head up to the end of the Frollo type thing. So this location is a perfect.
It's perfect location, agreed, yeah.
And then there's the whole maintaining it issue, but that's for the
And-
current situation and for the new one.
Where are the porta potties, Steve? when-
Way down by the scoreboard.
Well,
But it's
the
go
way
out
down,
place, way
yeah.
down.
Can they be put someplace else?
Maybe they can move them up by the shed, I mean,
Yeah.
And they have
yeah.
ADA accessible porta potties, I believe,
Yes.
correct?
You
Yeah.
need to be able to get the vehicle to the porta potty, so down on the field, I don't know if they can, they probably can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they
location.
come in from the other end, you know what I mean, Steve, like coming in from the other end where the new.
We should say, too, that the original plan was to build a new building, and he's revised it to include it as part of the snack shack, so
Which is
it
great.
cut the cost in half.
Bruce has said save money.
It's
They were
huge,
talking-
yeah. But I'm also wondering, too, if we push it to next year, could we line South Shore Tech up? Could we
That's a great
set
idea.
the resources out
But
a
they only
year or
have so
two in
many
advance?
projects, That's the problem with them, is they only have so many projects. I think it's a good idea, and I'm an advocate for
I don't-
projects.
I don't think it's a-
I'll bow to whatever.
I think it's a good idea. I just wonder if we, looking at the cost, and I don't know how comfortable I feel not having a little bit of a higher reserve going into what we know is tough budgets over the next couple of years.
Well, we know, like, as far as the reserve, I mean, for what's coming next year, we know that tax revenue is going to be, that's pretty much a certainty. The issue that's kind of goes back and forth is the match, right?
Right.
What we get. So we know we're going to at least have the
500,000.
500,000 coming in based on
Property taxes.
property taxes, right? So I think,
Based on the last few years,
But,
yeah.
but again, I also, I guess I'm a little hesitant to count on that. Just projecting, I don't know that we're gonna get that much. Like, I'm worried
well, I
about
think,
the
I
state
don't
of
know,
the economy.
I
and
think
I'm
the
worried
tax,
about-
the town tax revenue is probably like about a 98% certainty.
But isn't that's specific from like
I couldn't,
fees and stuff? Like, it's not like,
I couldn't speak to the certainty of that revenue. I know that that number was what was provided by the accountant, so I
Right, so the
assume
accountant takes
that-
what you get your tax bills and stuff like that, so you add all the tax bills up, and 1.5% of that is the 534. So I think
Right.
that's a pretty good,
Yeah.
a pretty good number. The part that isn't is the match, state match.
Right.
The 10% is the lowest we've had, right?
That is the lowest we've estimated it at,
so we
yeah.
might end up with a
And
little.
that's probably going to be the same based on the way housing is and stuff like that in the state, you know?
Yeah.
With the interest rates high, et cetera, and like the big users, the pharmaceuticals and all that kind of stuff being kind of slow.
We're going to throw this out, say we cut it from 175 to 100,000. What do you think?
But are they able to
Bruce,
do
what was
that?
that?
Cut it from 175 to 100.
Doesn't do it.
I don't know, because if we give them this much, they're not going to be able to
can't do it.
complete the project. They can come back to us the second year, but then we still have to approve an additional $75,000 to $100,000 to approve it next year.
The other thing that's interesting is like, like these projects, how many, what's the benefit to the town and how many people actually would use them? I would think like Raleigh Field is a ton of people that go up there, with other programs and the schools using it, stuff like that. And the same with the public, these bathrooms, it'd be like a ton of, and also the other thing too is like the Little League and softball, they have a big constituent of kids playing and that's growing, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm more inclined to approve those three, knowing that brings the reserve down to about 2. But then we kind of augment that by about 500,000 a year from now. So we should be in pretty good shape.
I was making page holders.
Yeah, right. Who's going to collect
Sound
that?
like Mr. Grinch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just a question, I mean, we could approve them all, it's just how much of a reserve do we want?
Yeah, no, I
You
get
know,
that. I get that.
I guess, I come to tonight having thought this out, and I was okay with every project. If we had to bump one, it would be the restrooms, because it's the amount of money. Plus, there's already 2 or 3 other things being funded for down there,
Along with the bond.
along with the bond.
Yeah.
I guess I'd love to hear from everybody. I know we haven't really quite heard from everybody. Like, so if we, so that like these, I know Ellen, you said those are the ones that you were a little bit concerned about. I just want to make sure we have everybody's
Oh, yeah.
voice on the
Good point.
floor.
So Steve, sit on your hands.
Oh, my mouth.
No, you're good. I just, like, did you want to share like your thoughts on that? Ellen, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to
No,
share. a little bit.
I think where they already have the porta potties available, and Meredith made an excellent point about maybe getting Voc Tech to help out with it. I think it has to be more thought out for how to raise money to bring the cost down. I know they lowered the price significantly by adding on to the building that's already there, but I really do think that they need to put additional thought into how they can bring the amount down even more.
In the upkeep of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So something that was required, that you guys had suggested when they came for the Memorial Field bond was essentially a letter or something of some sort that had
Laid it all out.
all of these groups sign off on it, saying, so in this case, if the custodian is going to be the one from Beaverbrook that's going to maintain this, something that says, yes, we know about this, we are okay with it. Something that's from football saying, yes, and I am certain that Sean does his due diligence.
Oh, yeah.
I know he does. But it was helpful for the record to be able to have this letter. So I don't know if that's something that,
Yeah, I mean, I know when we
Would be
signed up again at
helpful.
Memorial Field, it was Park and Rec, it was the athletic department,
Yeah.
it was the school department, it was DPW, all the vested interests. So, yeah, I think that is a really good point that, again, like, very worthy project. I think it's a great addition to what is happening down there. And it really is like sort of the hot spot, one of the hot spots of things happening in town. I'm a little bit hesitant to sort of put that out there, but not really, and again, like, I think it's very worthy. I'm just not quite ready. But
I agree. I think I'd love to see it back on next year, have them present it again next year. Because it's definitely needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really had no dog in this fight because I work on weekends.
But it's not
So
just
anyway,
weekends,
I
so.
don't
Have a
know
bathroom
if
at
you
your
do
house.
these.
But there's like, Wednesdays in the fall, I think it's Wednesdays or Thursdays, you have cross-country meets, you have band competitions, hopefully. You have, football games, football practice, you have baseball games, baseball practice. You have, I mean, it's not just a weekend thing. In the summer, they have tournaments like the whole week. And again, I think it's very worthy. I think it definitely adds something to it. I don't feel ready.
To go back to the whole band thing, so Abington Marching Band is in a resurgence at the moment, and we've been approached to hold a competition here. We go to 6 to 8 competitions around New England a year, and we've been asked to host one, but we don't have a facility to host it because we don't have a bathroom. So putting the bathroom at Memorial Field would allow us to then host and earn money for the music program by having one of these amazing competitions. So it's very attractive, and I do think it's needed.
Yeah,
It's a lot of money, too.
I mean, we put the lights down there, and,
Yeah.
you know, what I know on town website, social media, it's a tremendously used facility, and we've made significant investments in it. Since when I was a kid, there was Whiskey Hill, that's long gone. You know, remember the big hill that used to be behind there? There's been so many, and there's got to be a lot more improvements as far as the turf and
And
stuff.
there are already 3 other improvements,
Yeah.
at least 2, down on this sheet.
Yeah.
See, that's where I'm just going back. I guess my big question is the reserve. I mean, if we don't mind going at $200,000 into next year, you know, let's do them all. But, I mean, I too would like to have a little more in the reserve.
I agree.
I think with the state of the world and the state of the town, I think a reserve is smart. We don't know what's coming.
Well, I'm glad this is getting good discussion,
That's just my accounting brain.
one way or
Well,
another.
again, every year it seems,
Yeah.
you know, the applications come in and a few dwindle in and say, oh, it's going to be a nice year, nice easy year. And now this year, 14
Yeah.
is a big
It's a
year.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are, like, there are little small things.
Yeah, true.
In there, but there are some pretty big numbers as well.
What's interesting, though, is you look at the Little League and softball, and they presented like a 3 to 5 year plan. So the applications requests are more sophisticated.
Yes.
They're planning better, knowing that, you know, we have a limited source
Right.
of revenue.
You know, maybe
And-
the
Let him
people,
finish. I'm sorry, let him finish. Thank you, Bruce.
So,
Oh, you done? I'm sorry.
I'm done.
you know, we talked, in here we've got a consulting services to access Island Grove for priority list. And Island Grove is a major recreation facility. Maybe they need to have a plan, a long-term plan for Memorial Field.
And I think that's sort of in the works. When they did the initial, there were some sort of like wish list items down the road. And I feel like, I can't remember it right off the top of my
I
head.
actually think that they did, I don't know if it was an official long-term plan for Memorial Field, but I believe that they did kind of do a loose plan.
They did.
With a
I don't know if I can find it anymore. but-
committee of them.
But I think if we look back, like the kind of the capital reserve study for Island Grove is like the perfect example. So that should have been, we should have insisted on that in 17.
Yeah, right
You know,
from the beginning, yeah.
when we're trying to fix the bathhouse and this and that and stuff,
Yeah.
and other things. But like, something like that, a capital reserve study would have been more, it's excellent now, but would have been more appropriate way back then.
Agreed,
to
yeah.
Yeah.
not waste money and fix up what needs.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, again, I think the amount of tax revenue coming in at the 1.5% is, I know my tax bill isn't isn't going down, you know, it's gonna, so I think that's pretty certain, so, I don't know.
Well, we've always tended to buy, I know housing trust has always come in for $250,000, and then we get $100,000. Yeah, I've been on this committee for a long time, we all seem to be hesitant to spend more than $100,000 on any given
Yeah,
project.
but that's, again, that's going into a reserve, so
Yeah.
it's not like, if they had a project,
Yeah.
I'd have been more likely to give the 250,000, not knowing what was in reserve, you know. But,
Yeah, I know, 175.
yeah, it's nice that they didn't come this year for that.
Well, thank you.
I think we can replace the windows.
We will next year.
Yeah, next year, you may not get it next year, because if we leave little money in the reserve, that's gonna be a lean yield next year. We left $500,000, and I don't know why we left $500,000 in the reserve last year, but that was good, that's allowing us to do maybe all of these, I don't know.
Didn't we have fewer projects last year?
So it was fewer projects, but also the tax revenue came in higher because we estimated significantly lower last year. And then we also estimated low on the state match, and that came in not much higher, but a little bit higher. We also got back, we closed some old projects.
That's right.
So that, it didn't contribute a ton to that number, but it did contribute some. So just as a side note, some of that does go back to old projects that either were never done or had a small remaining balance.
Yes, we came in under budget, which is so great. And we do, just kind of a note, we talk about things coming in under budget. We do require when people put in their final application that there is a buffer of 10 to 15%, depending on the project, sometimes up to 20%, just to make sure that they can complete that project without having to come back if it's not a phased plan. Another side note about how we,
Sort of like how the planning board requires a bond on street projects and stuff like that to ensure projects are going to get done. And we
Yep.
had this discussion the other night about,
yep.
it's a good
All
way to
right.
ensure the project is completed. Okay.
Are we ready for a vote? Do we have any more discussion? Do we want to discuss the other two or go ahead?
Let's do one at a time.
Well, again, I'm wavering here because,
Okay.
you know,
Let's just vote.
200,000, I guess I'm still up in the air. Is 200,000 enough as a reserve? Again, I like to see us do as many projects as we can. You know, is it, all of these could probably wait a year. I mean, maybe some of the safety ones shouldn't, but, you know, I'm still, I don't know whether, I like to see the 500,000 in the reserve this year. When I come next year, if I'm on the committee next year, am I gonna be concerned about only having 200,000? And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we got to vote sometime on this.
I'd like to make the motion to approve it.
I'll second
Approve
it.
all?
Yes, the 175.
I'll second it.
So if they, I have a question. So if we approve it, which, would we be able to ask them to see if they can do any fundraising or get SSVT to help out or anything like that?
And we can, but they're not required to. We can ask them, but they're not required to.
You
This is the amount.
could, I guess you could make that a stipulation. It's not something that is,
Well, why don't we, Paul, you could amend your motion to, approve it with the proviso that.
Well, the motion on the floor that you have seconded is to approve the amount of $175,000 as written. So, and you've seconded it. If we want to have additional discussion on this, we need to vote it down and then make a new motion.
No, just go for the straight vote.
All right, we ready for a straight vote? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? No.
And I'm still,
I'm a maybe.
Well, hold on a second. We have 3, 4, and you 2, right?
Did you say no?
Did you say no
I
to?
said no.
Okay, so
Three and
it's
three.
it's gonna be it's gonna be a tie vote.
maybe. I'm still, give me a moment here.
Okay.
Well, let's go back to this.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
Because I'm thinking, you know, again, coming down here, I was gonna say no on this, not knowing what anyone here talking. I mean, what we're all saying makes sense, so, I mean, I'm wavering because of that. Damn people.
it's not, it wasn't an easy no for me. Like, I'll just
Yeah.
say that right off the bat, but I also, I think that there's potential for, and I don't know if this is appropriate to be even like be discussing if the vote isn't full, but I just think that there's more that could be done to make sure that it's the best that it can be, and I think it's a very worthy project. I just don't think that now is the right time, and that's I think it can wait a year.
So you're definite.
Unfortunately, I'm a no. I don't like to be a no.
Steve
I'm
is
usually not a no on
Steve is
anything.
wavering.
I'm gonna go no.
Okay. Okay.
No pressure.
I forget to get that out, Ellen.
And I'm not like angry either way, like whatever it goes to.
What
And again,
happens with a tie?
Do you want to go to a like a written vote?
I don't think you can do that.
Sure you
I think
can.
that's an open meeting law violation.
No, you can do
I don't
you can do a
know.
written vote. Yeah.
What is that gonna do? Just allow Ellen to
Well,
go?
it does put
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't put pressure on Ellen.
This is interesting.
I don't know, but
If it's a tie, do we not do it?
I don't know what we
I'm
do.
honestly not,
no,
I'm not sure.
tie doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, we have 3
we have to come to a
members,
consensus
which aren't
on
here,
that.
which is a shame.
I know.
So
Because we have enough for a quorum, but we don't
The
have
vote's
a-
based on the quorum.
So we have enough for a
members.
quorum, but we don't have it on each.
Okay, since I've been wavering, I apologize. I'm going to change my vote to yes. Instead of, it's not worth it. I'm going to vote yes on it next year. And again, if I'm comfortable with the $200,000 reserve fund, then it's a yes vote.
Have we had a reserve lower than 200,000?
I want to say the first 2 years.
I think the first few years, we almost spent it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say, I believe the first year, the very first year, I think it was under 100 that we went into the second year with. Then the following year, I believe it was right around 200, maybe a little under, like 150 something.
Because I think I think the part that gives comfort is the amount of the revenue from the town.
That's what's won me over as well.
Yeah.
So I will say yes, and I would hope that they could possibly find ways to lower the cost so that we may be able to get some of the money back, to put back into the
Yeah, I think,
pot.
Sean,
And again, we can't, to say like we can't give stipulations on that, but, I mean, that can be a hope, and we can make that, like,
That's
we
my
can talk to
hope.
him about that. And again, my no is only for the amount and wanting to have, funds in next year that are in a higher reserve. So we had a, 5-1 vote, okay, so that one passes.
but I think Ellen's point, not on a different matter, is like when people come in the future, kind of give them advice as to, it'd be helpful if you can raise some money toward whatever the project cost is, so we can use what we have to kind of go into more projects.
Spread it around.
And potentially get the South Shore VOTEC involved in it too.
But they could probably only do so many projects,
Yeah,
those,
it's
Yeah.
a hope, but they can only handle so much.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I said.
You kind of get a win if they become
All right, let's, so we still have softball and baseball to discuss. And I know a couple people wanted to discuss those pieces. Is that still,
Excuse me.
additional discussion
done.
must be had on that?
I'm, what would you say? I'm throwing it all out. I'm okay with those two though. I mean,
Alan, did you have additional, I know you and Steve were, wanting to discuss those further.
Meredith as well.
Oh, Meredith, I'm sorry, I missed you over there.
Yep.
I have a hard time seeing you from here. I'm like, are you too short?
I know, we're not-
My chair's even shorter.
This isn't
so
our
I'm, like,
normal, this
missing.
is not our normal layout.
I know.
If everybody feels comfortable with a $200,000 reserve, I would vote yes for those projects.
Okay.
I agree. I'm going off the projected tax calculation that will, I think, give us enough in the reserve for next year to go forward with all the projects.
Okay. So, do we have a motion on the floor then for, the renovation of the softball fields and dugouts?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed or abstained? All right, and last but not least, just happens to be the bottom of the list, is the improvements to various Little League fields throughout town. And again, this is for various fields, not just like one specific area. I guess we probably should have said that earlier, but it is looking at, I believe, Laidler and, now I can't find it. Anyway, all the fields in town are getting a little bit of something that is needed.
facelift.
A little bit of love.
Facelift, everybody. Field maintenance as well as dugouts and benches that are appropriate for the size of the players at various fields. Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, so at this time, all of the projected projects have been approved to go on the warrant for town meeting. Do we have to make an official, this is all going on the warrant, or is that do that?
I believe that it should be all set because you voted on each
Don't you
project.
give the selectmen and the finance committee a heads up what we're doing?
So we will be invited to both of those meetings, and I will speak on behalf of the committee, and then anyone else who wants to be in attendance for those projects, Ken, I'd love to have you there. I don't really like talking in front of people, this is a little difficult. And then on the floor of town meeting, we'll have that same presentation, giving the information about what CPA is, for those folks that aren't familiar, as well as a quick rundown of the projects and answering any questions.
I thought last year's town meeting, you were excellent when someone said, well, is this a raise on our taxes? And you had to explain the process.
Yeah, people don't know, they have to be educated, and usually that takes them down a peg a little bit from being ramped up, because people are worried about their taxes and where the money is going, so I think that us being clear and
Maybe we should,
transparent about that.
petition the town meeting to raise the 1.5% to 3%.
That would be wonderful. I don't know that we can do that. It's not on our agenda tonight, but I love that to be on a down the road agenda. That would be great. I'd love that. Look at how much we could fund. If this is 1.5%, imagine we could do with 3%.
You know,
It'd be amazing.
In anticipation of, I think, those meetings, Rachel, it'd be nice to, and I'm sure you already have it, is to, since CPA formed in 16, since that period of time, CPA and the town have approved 30 projects with a total of whatever, and we benefit, and then you can also mention that how many people in the town have benefited from those things, you know, because otherwise, nothing would get done.
Yeah,
You know?
and not only that, but the amount of people that have been involved in not only the committee and how often the committee meets throughout the year, but also those that are coming with their projects,
Yeah,
those that are
right,
working
good
with
point. Yep.
town departments. CPA sort of shifted a little bit as it's been in the process, where it used to just be town residents coming to petition you, and now it also goes through town departments to make sure that they're on board and understanding what they can kind of help guide. So like when baseball and softball comes, they go through Kelly and Park and Rec, as well as the DPW. So they have to have a sign off in order to now come, and that didn't used to be the case. So it has evolved over the years, and I think that evolution only helps with transparency, and it helps with making sure that everybody's on board for the different projects. So,
Two comments. We said this earlier, but it's great that people are giving us the applications. You know, it'd be awful if we had this funding and then people weren't coming. So credit to everyone that's putting in their applications. The other is, you know, I was reading a couple of towns' websites, CPA, and for town meeting, for finance, and for selectmen, it's required that the applicants come to those meetings. So if questions come up, you know, instead of us giving a quick little update, you know, the people who actually put the application in. Now, you thought, well, if the application's been approved, and if we've approved it, you know, but at town meeting, I guess it would be kind of important.
Yeah,
I don't know if we require that, like, if it's not.
I think Rachel should, any questions?
I can
No,
encourage
it's very
that.
good. It's very
Yeah,
good, but
I mean,
if you can only give a certain amount of information. You know, we have the application, you could read the whole application, I guess.
Well, I think that the town moderator would be going, okay, come on, we got to move this.
No, and also, I mean, it is, their projects are being voted on, so you would hope that they would make an effort, somebody from that organization,
Yeah.
to be at town meeting.
Yeah.
But we've all been sitting on the floor of town meeting
Yeah.
and waiting for, you know, you call and text your neighbors and say, can you just come down so that we
Yeah,
can
just
move
getting
forward?
enough
We can
people
have a
there,
forum.
right?
Yeah.
All right, so we have finished that piece of business.
When do warrants have to be in?
There wasn't an exact date set yet, but I did check and make sure that if it takes a couple of weeks, that would be okay, and he did say that was fine, but there wasn't an exact date.
And when is town meeting?
I believe
later this year.
Yeah,
It's
it's later
May.
this year. I want to
think
say
it's
it's in
May
May.
I think you're right. I think I actually put it in my calendar this year, because I usually just ask Kelly, when was that again?
I may
It's
have
May
my-
4th?
It's late this
So,
year.
yeah.
That is
It's after
late.
the election. Yeah, May 4th at 6:30.
Oh, good. I actually don't have my calendar. I forgot.
And the town election's April 25th.
April what, 25th?
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. So the last thing we have on our agenda is just invoice approval for the projects. And Kelly, what do we have invoice approvals
So,
for?
both of these are for the Island Grove Snack Shack. Finally. We got some movement here.
Finally.
So part of this is for filter sock. It's that like hay thing that goes around it to
for the actual project
protect
itself.
the water.
Yep.
And
EPA.
then the other is for, we're using, oh, I'm sorry, not both of these are for Island Grove. That one is for Island Grove, the other is for Arnold Park. And this is for consulting services for the bidding process. So just a quick update on that as you sign these. We have been meeting, myself, John, the town manager, and a couple representatives from Street Hockey with Sanborn Head, which is the engineering company that's helping us with the bidding process. And we're waiting on a couple final specifics on what they're looking for in the courts. But aside from that, it should be finalized by the end of February, going out to bid shortly after, maybe early March. And then in the hopes that it will then go out to bid and be able to be complete by sometime in mid-June for their season to start.
Exciting.
Be awesome.
So the project itself should move rather quickly. It's
Yeah.
just the lead up to it that
Yeah.
takes a little while.
So just a quick note, we're signing the invoice right now that all the projects, they then give us invoices for the work that's done. So that's just an additional transparency with
Just
the
the one.
entire process.
Yes.
Do you
So we
inspect,
just, it's like a cover sheet when you sign the book on the cover sheet.
do we
all right.
have, do we ever inspect the work?
I mean, it has to be by,
Yeah, it kind of depends on,
Depending on what it is.
yeah, depends on what it is. It has helped tremendously now that, it used to be private, a lot more private organizations, not private organizations, but not
More
town
independent,
department,
yeah.
that were doing this work. Now it's very heavily town departments. So it makes it a little easier because then that department that signed off on their application is responsible for, when they sign off on that application, part of it is saying, we are ensuring that we are going to be keeping up with this, making sure that what they're saying is done, following them through this process.
I would make the recommendation that, like on, like, other than like the engineering studies and stuff like that, that anything that's done, that somebody goes out and take a look
Yeah.
before we sign, like, for our own benefit.
yeah, and again, I
I'd
think,
volunteer to do that.
so a lot of that, like Kelly said, is being done through the town departments. And we can, if there's something we want to add to the next agenda as far as like making, in the past, we have had like liaisons to different
Yes.
groups that check in with them. We've sort of gotten away from that as it's come into the, more of the town departments doing that. But if we want to go back and help
Yeah.
Kelly a little bit, we can look at, for next year's process, or even the end of this year's process, if we schedule another meeting before town meeting, to have liaisons that can kind of help give that information, reach out to the groups and see if there is something they need or that has been there before, and if we want to put that on an agenda for another meeting. I think that's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you refresh my memory? When it goes to town meeting, do they vote on this is a bundle? We don't vote on individual projects.
They vote as a whole
Okay.
on everything. They can, if at town meeting there is a specific project that they do not want, they, to my knowledge, yes, they can vote to remove that one or amend,
Okay.
I believe it's called amending it.
Yeah, you can amend it.
Okay.
But
Amend the motion.
historically, it's presented as one article.
One bundle.
In
Yeah.
the selectmen or finance committee, we're just making the presentation to them what we're doing. They have no authority to say no.
And we hope that it's typically they've been in support of the
They usually
projects.
give a recommendation, but
That they
they can't
usually
stop
give the
it.
recommendation
Right.
to basically pass it to us for the presentation. And that typically the support is there. And we would hope that support would
But
continue to be
if
there.
it isn't, we'd still.
Yeah, it doesn't,
Right.
like,
Town
we're
meeting.
entitled to
Right.
do this on our own, even without their support.
Yep.
All right, any further discussion on anything as we move forward?
Next meeting?
I don't believe it has been scheduled.
Do we usually try to meet before town meeting just to make sure that, like, after we've met with the finance committee and the select board, that, like, it's, everybody's sort of like on the same page.
So I guess the next I'll put an agenda out typically for whenever we're going to be meeting with FinCom and the selectmen. I don't know those dates yet, but as soon as I do, I'll send out an email. I do put an agenda just in case there's quorum, and then aside
So
from that.
you want to put something, like a date for sometime in April?
So I think she just said we're going to wait until we hear from FinCom of when we're invited to their meeting.
Yeah, so I can wait and find out
Okay,
when,
all right.
when those meetings are. I'll send out an email about those dates, and then what we've done in the past is if, like, let's say any invoices or anything come up that need to be approved, I will include that in the email, so we could maybe have a short meeting before those meetings or directly after.
Those meetings or town meeting.
Right.
Or if we need to approve something else, then Kelly can reach out and say, hey, can everyone meet on Tuesday, the whatever?
Yeah.
And since that's typically when our meetings have been, that we can do that at that point. But that's just waiting for invoices. We don't have any projected until they come in.
This board sometimes has met the night of town meeting, and planning board, we always have a meeting at that night, so I can't go to this meeting on that, because I gotta do.
Yeah, we haven't done the last couple of years with it. We
Yeah.
used to do it, and then we sort of like didn't need to because we had everything. All our ducks were in a row, and there wasn't really anything for us to do. We sit there and look at
Play
each
it
other,
by
and
ear.
everybody's
Prior to
there.
the meeting, we'll see the one article. We've
Yes.
discussed everything on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we should tell all the groups that are advocating for these projects to come to town meeting,
Yeah.
just in case there's a question on this thing.
Well, and also in support of the projects that we're putting
Yeah.
forward, that they've taken the time and the effort to put out there.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion?
Motion to adjourn?
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any discussion?
I use this.
All right, thank you all so much.
All those in favor?
We will vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Any, you're welcome to